where our panelists will be discussing monumental opportunities. Please welcome and joining to the stage, Gabriela Tessier, news anchor for Univision Los Angeles. Catherine Schlossman, President and CEO of LA Sports and Entertainment Commission. Eric Aldridge, Vice President of Impact for LA 28. Jesus Chavez, President and General Manager of Univision Los Angeles. Mary Leslie, President of Los Angeles Business Council.
All right, everyone. Who was here for the last panel, the first one of the day? Raise your hands, please. Good morning and welcome to everybody that just barely joined us. I hope you had your coffee. This is going to be a lively conversation. I'm very happy to have these wonderful people here and to have you all here. And first off, they asked me to do a quick survey. Who here, business owners, has a construction and contracting business? Raise your hands, please. Construction and contracting. Who here has an engineering business? Something to do with engineering. I know a few. And over there, personal services, marketing, food service, anything else? All right, so now we get a little bit of a temperature of who's here. We took the temperature of the room. That's very good. Housekeeping things, please, to our guests. Put your microphone straight to your mouth. In the first panel, there was a little bit of difficulty to hear the guests back in the room. It was a little bit quiet over there, so we know that. And also, we know micro and small businesses are not necessarily taking up all the opportunities that this monumental moment, epic moment in Los Angeles has to offer. We're going to address that here. As you probably know, we are, right up to the wire. We're like at the very end of everything. So that's why we brought this wonderful panelist to you, Catherine Schlossman. Catherine, I'm going to start with you right away because I want to know, for the past 10 years, you've been working as president and CEO of the Los Angeles Sports and Entertainment Commission, and you have done tremendous work. What have you accomplished thus far that you can say, this is what I wanted to do, here's where I am at today?
Well, I think the fact that we're in this decade of opportunity, we have been working hard. Our mission at the Los Angeles Sports and Entertainment Commission is to help bring major sporting and entertainment events to our region that generate significant economic and community impact. I used to tell people that we were in the event business. I now tell people we're in the impact business. But as many of you know, we are coming up on this unprecedented time. We are the only city in the world that is hosting the lineup of major international events that we have coming up. So over the next 3 years, 26, 27, and 28, we start with the NBA All-Star Game. We have the U.S. Women's Open, followed by 8 matches at SoFi Stadium and other activities around the World Cup here in Los Angeles. We then have the 2027 Super Bowl, and then the culmination of this 3-year run is the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games. So in answer to your question, we've been working hard to bring major events to this region. We have everything coming to this region in the next 3 years. I'd say that's what we're most proud of.
And this is going to be a time of great impact. Mr. Impact here, Eric. Eric Aldridge, Vice President of Impact for LA 28. And Eric, you've made a great name in actually bringing in not only the community to work for these events, but to keep it local to our community's level. How do you do that?
Yeah, thank you, Gabriela, for the introduction. So first, I want to just define a little bit what does Vice President of Impact means. That means I oversee, along with my colleagues and the community members, our impact commitments around economic empowerment. So what we want to accomplish around the opportunity related to the games when it comes to workforce and opportunities, as well as community business and procurement. So I just want to level everyone there. We have a tremendous opportunity for our communities related to the games. If you think about the footprint in which the games will take place, currently stretching from the San Fernando Valley all the way down to Long Beach and everywhere in between. I'm a native Angelino. I grew up here. I've spent my entire professional career here. So it's going to be really important for us to collaborate with those like the LA Sports and Entertainment Commission, the LA Business Council, and many others who do this work each and every day, who are professionals and specialists and experts. Because in 2029, I may be looking for some of you for a job because we will be gone. But that's a really important point, because what a legacy means is something that is so great that it lives beyond your existence. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here, Gabriella. How can we pull together for all these events that are coming here in the region and create a couple of really important things, pathways for businesses with our collaborators, and for us to create equity within our procurement system related to the LA 28 spend.
Beautiful. Next up is Jesus Chavez, President and General Manager of Univision Communication. Jesus also is an entrepreneur and media executive with deep and personal experience building brands and at the intersection of multicultural and youth. And when we talk about youth, Jesus, since you know how our average age is, think about the Latino community. The most common age in Latino community is, guess what? 19 years of age. That is your fan and your potential fan for the long run. How do you see this event bringing wealth to our communities?
Thanks, Gabby. I think, first of all, as a sports fan and also an Evangelino, I'm just excited. When you think about the number of events that are coming into the market, the amount of sort of sporting ecosystem could be growing here in LA, I think this is awesome. Across the board, no matter what type of team or sports or league or anywhere in the country, your biggest growth area in terms of new fandom is going to come from Latino fans. That is the fastest growing when you look at the level of fandom, how engaged they are as fans. And I think one of the opportunities is how are you actually catering to these audiences? You're seeing it already here in a local level. I was, I think last year at the one of the Mexican Heritage Night, I believe, for the LA Kings, and it was just an awesome event that they had around Dia de Muertos, right? A lot of these teams are doing a better job embracing these communities, making them a part of that fan base. And what I'm excited to see is how does that then translate to everyday fandom engagement of actually really catering to these audiences, because that's where the growth is coming from. Overall, this is something that we are very much focused on as being the president of Televisa Univision. Our core demographic being Latino audiences and sports being such a critical pillar of that fan base. We're looking for constant opportunities to engage them across content, across platforms, in real life, in partnership with teams. We see such a massive opportunity there. And I think this is where I see as this key moment. How do we use these events coming up? Similar to what Super Bowl was a couple of years ago, right? It was almost like homage to the city of LA, to Compton, as a matter of fact. It was literally part of the stage, which is actually my home city, that's where I grew up. And I think it's such a great opportunity to highlight the diversity of this great city and really, to your point, create a legacy from the events that are happening here.
Mm-hmm. And next we have Mary Leslie, President of the Los Angeles Business Council, the LABC Institute. And Mary, you have been working for what? It's been 24 years, right? Since you guys launched and it started growing the council to one of the most important or prominent organizations in the region. So again, what have you seen? How has the scenery changed? And how has your organization have to adjust to what we're seeing today? 24 years ago, we were not even dreaming that we were going to have this lineup that we have now.
Well, and that's a huge opportunity to give Kathy Schlossman a round of applause, okay? Because without winning the last decade of major sporting events, we wouldn't be even out there talking about it, would we, Kathy? Okay, because I watched her compete, and she had to compete to get the events. And her team and business leaders in LA really did. But then they come, and are we ready? So our job, and what I watched in really the last 7 years since we won the Olympics, because that's kind of the pinnacle to know that you're creating a legacy, pre-legacy up to 28 and then post-legacy, is that you just got to be ready. You got to create an ecosystem, so everybody up here is part of that system. And what Eric's doing at LA 28 now is access is going to be so critical because we analyze what happened at all the other Olympics, for instance. And really, London 2012 is the best example for us. It's the most analogous because they built out a digital platform where 150,000 small and medium businesses came, and they won 13,000 contracts. and it was about a quarter of the spend. Now, that shouldn't be the pressure for LA 28, but that should be a pressure for LA, meaning this is ongoing. We got to be doing this every day. We got to be translating the World Cup. We got to be translating golf. We got to be translating, I don't know, all the things Kathy won, right? And our municipalities. So what we did to get ready is we got the LA City procurement system ready. So Rachel Freeman and the mayor have a very important tool, because the RAMP system, for any of you who have not gone on to RAMP in the city of LA, it's a regional procurement system. It has City of LA, it has LAUSD, it has City of Long Beach. But the reason a regional platform was being built is to get us ready for these regional sporting and entertainment events. So what we have to do is, for all of you that are small and medium businesses, or women-owned, or minority-owned, okay, you're the biggest group of people in LA County. We're the 20 largest economy in the world, and we have 1.3 million small and medium businesses. So it should be that that you all understand these programs, you know how to get involved in them, and you want to compete. And I think that's the job, is to creating a clear and transparent way for you to do that, whether it's for the Olympics, whether it's for the World Cup, because that's going to be our trial run, right? 11 sporting events in, I don't know, a very small period of time.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say to everybody. You know, you need to know you have this opportunity now. And Gabriella, you did a good job of figuring out. You got a lot of people here in the hospitality.
Yeah.
Hospitality is a major category for all these events. So the key is, if you're not certified as a woman-owned business, if you're not certified as a diverse supplier, you can go onto the City of LA website. This new program that got announced today, Procure LA, you're going to be able to go on there and PACE, that nonprofit. You know, if you don't have certification, they can teach you how to get it. If you need financial assistance, they can help you. They can help you access. And what we're going to do is, we've got a pool of 40,000 diverse suppliers right now, and we're going to, by the categories of interest, provide Eric, provide, Carrie Doy, the sector names of the supplier pools that we've identified.
So if you guys were here in the first panel, you saw the big need, and actually the recognition for the small businesses, the underpinning of it all, right, if you may. Now, the common situation out there is that small businesses don't get the same opportunities. And we know it. Let's face it, and let's open it up, right? So this is the opportunity to change around the game. Jesus, you as an entrepreneur faced that too. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Gabby. So over the last 10 years, I was an entrepreneur, really helping build organizations out. And, one of the things that I had someone, a friend of mine, say this, and he's 100% right. What kills most small companies is big companies, and typically for too much bureaucracy, right? The truth is, if you're a small business, and many times a first-time entrepreneur, it's just a really challenging thing to go through. You typically don't have the network, the resources, the know-how, access to capital. There's all these things that are sort of working against you. And I think one of the challenges that we have to do, I love the fact of the announcement of how we're really opening it up and giving people a shot at opportunities, but it goes beyond that, in my opinion, is thinking about payment terms. Having a small company have to live with 180-day payment terms, you are killing these companies. That happens over and over again. We have to be extremely thoughtful about how not only do we open up the door for opportunities, but change even our own internal rules to work with them, understanding that in some cases, small companies are making decisions of whether or not to cut payroll, whether or not they can make payroll for the following month in order to service this big clients, right? So there's, I think, a clear opportunity there. Look, what we've done at Televisa Univisión is we have an empowerment platform. It initially started as a financial fair. We were having conversations with Latino entrepreneurs, asking them, did they need help opening bank accounts? And that's sort of like really basic financial information. And when we heard over and over again, no, we got that part already. But how do I start my business? How do I capitalize this? How do I actually help grow it? And that has now grown over the last 7 years into an empowerment platform called Posible, or Possible, right? Think of it like as a very aspirational type of platform that has materialized into a single large event, but we're now extending into a year-long program, because the truth is, young entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs need help every single day. They need a network, they need access to information, access to opportunities, because many times you're the last one to find out. So I think this journey of helping diversify, I love the intent, I love the opportunity, I love when big companies make these big, bold commitments that they're gonna do this, but it's the little things that kill people. It's the little things that kill those companies. And like I said, over the last 10 years, I had some success. I sold some companies, some didn't sell, and it was difficult, right? And it's that day-to-day challenge that I think we have to be very thoughtful about. So I think it's a great opening step. I think it's on all of us to be there for these entrepreneurs. When you look at the growth of new businesses, Latinos specifically are growing about a 1.6x faster than non-Latinos, and that's actually Latina-led, right? So in a lot of times, that's right. In a lot of times, once again, they're the very first one in their entire family to do this. Yes. So that access to mentors, to networks, to resources is something that we have to be very, very thoughtful about every single day. So we're trying to do our part through information, through empowerment platforms, but I love, frankly, the talk that we're having here, and I think it is about the legacy. Because if you do that with one entrepreneur, then they become that example. Then they're now the network for that next entrepreneur coming down the pipe.
Exactly. I want to tell my, please. This is also a conversation. If any of you want to pitch in, just jump ahead. And I know that Eric can talk also about that. And we learned through the pandemic, when all this money was coming and pouring into small businesses couldn't get it because they were not prepared to file the paperwork. Something as simple as that, Eric. How can we overcome that and take opportunity now by the horns?
So I like speaking and communicating a lot of times by giving some clues and codes. So we talked a lot about collaborating, right? So what that means in this space is not trying to do it by yourself. There are people here that are working on it, a lot of great collectives. Don't feel like you have to go after this by yourself. That's really important. The second one, communication, two-way. It's our responsibility as a major event to make sure that our communication is going out, but also that the communication is coming in. We can't adjust the sails at the last minute of the storm. So we need to continue to hear from you through the collectives, through the people that we're working with, through the voices that you have. That's really critical. And then the last piece is when we're ready to work, those actions that everyone mentions to certify and make sure you're ready, I can't tell you how critical that is on an event like the Olympic and Paralympic Games. We are a one-off event, right? We have to deliver the games for our city, for our region. We don't get to do it again, right? So I think that's really important for people to remember. I've worked at a Fortune 500 company. I've actually worked here in this building at AEG, and fantastic companies that believe in supplier diversity. But the difference is they get to do their event again next year. They run their festival again next year, so they can adjust. We got one time, folks. And so you got to be ready. We got to get this communication going. And I did want to share out, as if I may, one last piece, just some tangible information. And I wish I had a better memory, so I have to write these things down. So we've identified some spend categories related to the games that I think you all, as we move down the road, reminder that the majority of the spend related to the games is down the road, downstream. I think 80% of it or so is going to be in the final 2 years. Here's some spend categories just to keep in mind for your business. Games operations, marketing and communications, facility management, ceremonies and events. So think about torch relay, things like that. Technology. We aren't building any new permanent infrastructure, but we will do some temporary overlays, and there will be some construction. So construction and contracting, food and beverage and accommodations, and transportation and logistics. So these are 10 categories that we've identified already that we believe local and diverse businesses will have an opportunity to compete, and look for more of that information down the road.
Wonderful. So everybody wrote that down? Yes? Okay. Catherine, to you, you guys started the Business Connect, the Supplier Diversity Initiative at the time of the Super Bowl in 2022, right? Can you explain to us a little bit how that works?
Sure. And I do want to just echo something Eric just said. And I hope everybody heard it. Is all the jobs, all the opportunities are not gone. The mayor keeps saying every time she speaks, everybody thinks all the opportunities are gone and they didn't get a chance. They are not, correct. They are still out there. So just want to make sure you're not too late. So the NFL created a program called Business Connect that they bring to Super Bowl communities. We brought it to Los Angeles in 2020 before the 2022 Super Bowl, where we went out and we recruited businesses in the event production space. So it was very important to the NFL to make sure that local diverse businesses had opportunities around their major events. It was a great idea. We embraced it. We created our LASEC Business Connect. We recruited 200 businesses. Again, we're very specific in this Business Connect program. It is in the event production space. So AV, florals, a lot of the stuff Eric was saying. But what's really unique about this particular program, let me finish. In 2022, we hosted the Super Bowl, incredibly successful Super Bowl in LA, which is why we're having another one in 2027. Thank you to our local diverse suppliers who helped put that on for us. But because it was so successful, the program was originally just set up to bring the Super Bowl here. What we saw at that time is this is a really good opportunity for local diverse businesses in Los Angeles. And we wanted to continue it on, knowing what the events that we had coming up that I mentioned earlier, World Cup, Super Bowl, another Super Bowl, the Olympics, and support it. So we continue that program. We have and what's unique about our particular program, again, is we're very focused on events production. So AV, floral, transportation, all those things. Right now we have 200 vetted businesses that applied. We had several hundred apply. There were certain qualifications in terms of being certified, et cetera. And we have about 200 businesses right now. But what is the real secret of the success of this program is that we have a full-time Business Connect team led by our director, who is amazing, Simona Caldwell. She's here today, so afterwards, if you want to get a chance to see her, she not only is she good at what she does, but she's out hustling all the time, looking for more opportunities than somebody mentioned earlier on an earlier panel. These major events are great, but they're the icing on the cake. We are out talking to other events in the region to try and make sure there's opportunities there. But the secret sauce for Business Connect and why it's so good is Simona knows all of our 200 businesses. She knows what their strengths are. She's created a relationship. She knows where their successes are. And that's the critical thing. If you think about when anybody's trying to get a job, you need references. You need somebody to speak to your experience. And Simona knows it. So it's a little bit like a concierge service, because you can't expect an event like the NFL or FIFA or the Olympics. Everybody is very, very busy. The good news for everybody here is that all of these events, the leagues, it's very important to them to help give opportunities to the local diverse businesses. So that's number one. That's very important. But what you have to remember is they don't have a lot of time. We can't hand them a list of hundreds of businesses and say, here's all the ones that are qualified. Good luck. Go vet it out yourself. And so what they know is that Simona has established relationships with all of these leagues. And so they call her and say, okay, we're looking for this kind of company. We need this kind of capacity, et cetera. She can make recommendations of ones who are set up to do that. So that is our secret sauce and what makes the program successful. And then the last thing I would just say on that program is it's very important to us to market and promote the success of our local diverse businesses. Because again, it's getting the word out. And AEG is a great example of, they saw an article on one of our local diverse businesses, the 27th Street Bakery, that we wrote about and promoted. There she is. And Jeanette Bolden, who runs that, one of our star Business Connect suppliers. Lee Zeidman, who's the president of AEG, saw an article we had teed up. We had written something, gotten some press. He called me up and he said, can you make an introduction to that company? We're going to have them come over and talk to us about doing stuff at crypto.com. And that's how that happened. That's how that relationship started. And it's all about word of mouth and getting it out there. So that's our secret sauce. And our great
Okay.
suppliers.
Yeah, so I hope everybody's paying real close attention because a lot has been revealed here. So Mary, in your case at the LABC, how do you guys do that process? Help people out in that process, in the procurement process?
So part of what's happening is that we have to take Kathy's program and we have to scale up for LA County, right? Because we're 10 million people and these events are billions of dollars worth of events. So the issue is creating a broad way that everybody can access and making sure people are educated about getting ready, because as Louise said, it's a big deal to get ready, because if you want to work with a prime contractor, our business organization represents a lot of the large engineering companies who will get prime contracts with LA28 and others that will hopefully put up the Olympics in 18 months and get it right the first time. Eric, but how, if you're a smaller, diverse supplier or medium, actually, how are you going to get involved? How are you going to access? Because that's the struggle, right? And so I think that's incumbent upon, Mayor Bass, who's going to be next up, and others to communicate that. And that's why we have programs in the city and county of LA. That's why if you haven't gone to the RAMP program for the city of LA, ramp.com, please go and see all the opportunities that are currently there and see what the requirements are. And they do have ways to become certified, because if you're not certified as a woman-owned business or a diverse supplier, you should really consider it. And I know that's work, but if you do that, you will be more competitive. So what we do is we've got this database. We're in partnership with USC, the Center for Economic Development there. We have been for the last 3 years. And what we do is Manuel Pastor, a professor there, created a series of criteria. So what we did is we looked at LA County and we looked at where in LA County potentially there were small and medium diverse suppliers ready to go. And we downloaded all of the small businesses in LA County and we screened out and we created about 40,000 businesses. You could be on our database. In fact, if you go to competeforward.la, you can go check out and see if you're on our database. But that database we're using to source to help Eric at LA28 and Carrie, who's going to be here later for PACE. And what we're doing is, by the sectors, by the activity, we're providing lists of businesses that we've identified could participate. And if you're not ready, then you want to get involved either at the City of LA or with PACE, Carrie's program, to help you prepare, or the SBA. I'm a former deputy director of SBA. They run small business development corporations. You can contact them. The City of LA also has working groups on college campuses where you can get additional certificational and technical assistance.
And those certifications, as in women-owned, Latino-owned, minority-owned, up and down, take advantage of that, because that's a certification that puts you in a different list, in a different group. So that's important too. I want to jump into innovation, because this is the decade of innovation. So a lot of you raised your hands when we said food and hospitality. I want to get into, for example, a company that has a Colombiano in there and they have a tricycle, a way to move yourself around the city, XOTO. So, and imagine that, right? At this point in time, how does creativity help propel these new companies? Jesus.
Yeah, look, one thing I would say is when you're a small business, obviously, at times it can feel like you have a lot of things sort of stacked against you, right? You're competing against much larger organizations with a lot more resources. But what you do have is the ability of being nimble, right? That's something that when you're part of a big company, it's hard sometimes. Like trying to, steer that ship, moving in a different direction is really, really difficult. So I think part of what I will be thinking about, regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of type of business, is how do I iterate faster, test faster, learn faster? How do I look at what are the gaps that bigger companies that I'm trying to compete against are currently overlooking, never going head first because you're going to lose all time. But how do I actually learn from what they're doing and adjusting? My own background as an entrepreneur has been much more in the startup world, where you're talking about technology and capitalized through venture funds. But the truth is, those same ideas kind of apply across the board, right? Most of the companies that you hear about as successful startups, hardly any of them, what they're successful at now, the idea didn't start that way. Most of the good ones were really good at adjusting, pivoting, learning, or something else that wasn't working, testing a whole lot of things, and then making that adjustment. I think all of us have that ability to really be thoughtful about how do we leverage technology in some cases, shift in technology to be able to capitalize on a wave that's a little bit behind you, being that most time you have a lot of headwind against you. How do you pivot quickly to make sure you're just into the market, right? Being very plugged in, seeing what your competitors are doing, learning from other industries, and applying across the board regardless of the type of whether you're service industry, technology company, try and identify what is your thing. Getting good at it, being narrow and niche is a good thing to learn and get good at before you expand. I also see too many times companies try to do everything all at once. And when you're small and you have to literally prioritize your own time, what you can spend it on, it's just hard to do. Right. So I that's kind of my recommendation when you think about this. Obviously leverage technology. Even thinking about some of the big ones like an Uber, right? Part of their success was definitely dependent on seeing how mobile technology was shifting to allow now for GPS. If that hadn't happened, they didn't develop that, but they recognized it as an opportunity to leverage that would help accelerate their business, right? So I'll be in the lookout at what are technologies that are out there that I could leverage to help my business grow faster. And once again, your ability to be nimble is a strategic advantage that you have. In some of the cases for you, especially those of you that are women-led, diverse-led, how does you being of that, having that cultural insight help you better understand the end consumer to provide a better offering? Right. So these are all things that you can build on and take advantage of as you're growing your company.
Eric, creativity when launching a business. Tell us about it. What do you think?
Well, what I'd like to say, Gabriella, to the group of small business owners here is lean into your expertise around your community and that knowledge of it. Give yourself the credit that, especially as I think about something like the Olympic and Paralympic Games, which is going to be spread across the region, and how some of these actions will be regionalized, I would say bring that knowledge of your region and how you can service in that region to the forefront. No one knows your neighborhood like you guys do, right? And so I think because you're going to be communicating with people who may not understand that knowledge that you have, I think that's going to be really important. And then the second piece of advice is to the best of your ability, control your narrative. You know, everyone has an equal platform to a certain extent in today's communication realm. And so, I personally sometimes shy away from promoting my personal brand or what have you. But if you're trying to move your business forward, you got to lean into it. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, yeah. And Catherine, what are the most common mistakes that you see when you see events like this and small businesses trying to jump in? What is what you would recommend everybody to keep in mind and skip if they can?
I think just to keep in mind what Mary said earlier, to be prepared. And if I could just say something real quickly, there's never been a better time to be a local diverse business in this city. Mary has done an amazing job. She's devoted like the last 12 years of her life to be out there advocating for you and all the local diverse businesses in the city to have a better situation and get more opportunities. So thank you, Mary, for everything you've done on behalf of everybody. But I would say she mentioned it too, and I think Eric. That's all she does is trying to find opportunities for other people. So I think that she should be applauded. And then Mary Ann Eric also said about the certification and being prepared, because I know everybody that as Eric said, these are major league events that are coming to our city that need to have one-time deal. and they need to make sure that they have the best people representing them. So as much as they want to use our local diverse suppliers, our local diverse suppliers need to be prepared, need to have certification, need to have capacity, and as Eric said, need to be marketing and promoting what you do, because I think the biggest problem we have in finding those businesses is everybody is so busy because you have so much to do on your plate that you don't have an opportunity to get out there and market and promote what you do. But you need to market and promote what you do because there's so much going on in our city. As we all know, there's 100 events going on every night in our city. If you're not out there marketing and promoting it, nobody knows it's happening. Same thing with you. If you're doing good work but nobody knows, you're not going to get ahead like you need to.
Best kept secret can't be. Mary, last thoughts, please.
Well, not to burden you, but if you talk to your council people or your supervisors, it would be really good if you could make this a priority, because I do think it's incumbent upon government to provide access and transparency. And part of what's happening is the education curve is still pretty steep, because there's a handful of people who understand how the system works, and then there's everyone else. So I think what has to happen is, part of it is the way we contract. There's a community level contracting where it becomes incumbent to break down contracts so that large companies have to create smaller portions so that you can compete for those. Government also needs to do it. The mayor's engaging in an exercise right now with all her departments in the city of LA. I personally think it's critical to our preparation that we have a community level contracting program active in the city of LA, because it means that our procurement system will then, okay, anemic is a strong word, but that the diverse suppliers will be a robust group of people on the city's database, because others will need that database, okay?
Last recommendation, Jesus.
I would actually want to kind of pick it off of what Eric was saying about controlling your narrative. Look, I will start with, I want to recognize all of the entrepreneurs that are in the room. I think too many times we talk about you, and I include myself in that group because I was just part of that just a few weeks ago, as a small business owner. Well, small business owner sounds small. You're all entrepreneurs. That's really what it is, right? It takes a certain level of guts and courage to get out there, to bring your ideas to life, right? In many cases where you're not only your own ability to sustain yourself, but of your family is all on your ability to hustle and make things happen. I think that idea of owning the fact that you're trying to drive that future is a really important thing. I love the fact of thinking about what does that mean about how I present my business, myself, as the entrepreneurs that you are. Storytelling becomes such an important thing of how we do that. Taking advantage of these moments, opportunities that when you are partnering with bigger companies, how do you leverage those partnerships to give you more validity in the marketplace, right? To create momentum, to lead that to new opportunities. We have a clear opportunity that's coming up here with the Olympics and World Cup and all these different sporting events. For those of you that are able to do that, please take full advantage of that storytelling, that branding to move it forward. And I will say, if any of you call yourself small business, you are entrepreneurs. Like, change that narrative in your own head, because that's the way that people need to view you. And it starts with you doing that for yourself.
Last thought.
Yeah. We can end here. How about go Dodgers? One.
That's good.
And we truly need everyone's support to make the games happen.
Yeah.
I remember '84. I was 16, grew up in Inglewood, had my first job at the Forum as a ball boy for the men's basketball tournament. 30 years later, I'm still working in sports and entertainment. The opportunity is real across multiple fronts.
Perfect. Thank you. And you, Catherine, please.
We have an incredible decade of opportunity coming, and the next couple of years are critical. We're showing LA on the international stage. We need to show our city well. We're inviting all these people to come to our city, to experience our city. We need to make sure our city looks good, and we need your help to do it. So very exciting time, but everybody's going to have to pull together to make sure we are hosting these our locals and the international visitors in the best possible way and showing our city off right.
And if you haven't done so, please visit the website la28.org. You're going to find a wealth of things there, beautifully done. I want to thank the Office of the Mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. Thank you for listening in, and we're done. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriela, Eric, Catherine, Jesus, and Mary for an informative, impactful, and insightful conversation.